Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Salute, young Tony. Tiny, what's
Young
up,
Tiny,
man?
what up,
Salute to
young
you.
Tiny?
Salute
Right
to
on.
you. Hey, J-Walk, what's the word, man?
You know what time it is. Happy Victory Sunday, baby.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Look, this thing is really, we're gonna talk about this game. We're gonna really go into depth from what you've seen just being there, and then from what I've seen just watching it on TV, man. I think this was it was an explosive game, man. We seen progress made. We seen progress made, and I think that's one of the biggest things, man. As long as we continue to see week to week progress, man. And look, we got depth, man. I think we found out that we got some big time depth specifically at the linebacker play. And so we're gonna talk about all that, man. So which, hey Jay, overall, man, what's your thoughts? Jay, what's up with it?
Mm.
Overall, what's your overall thoughts,
What
man,
up,
from everything
JT?
that
What
we've
up,
seen?
JT? What up, big bro? Right on. So my thought overall from being in the stadium, being sidelined, and then watching it all on film. This might be against popular belief or popular perspective, but I I think we still got a lot more work to do.
Okay, specifically and where, because
A
I'm gonna
lot
tell you
more.
what I noticed from watching on TV. Because I know when you watch it on TV, opposed to when you watch it on TV, opposed to
In
watching it
person.
in person, it's a totally different thing.
You get a
So
different perspective,
yeah,
yeah.
you get a different perspective. So what I seen, I'm gonna tell you what I seen personally. I in the initial at the beginning of the game, what I seen was it looks like some secondary. We still need to try to improve on that. We still need to try to work on that. And it looks like it was a correction made in the second half. Of course, we don't want to name no names, but I was highly impressed with the defensive line side of the ball, specifically Bear Alexander, specifically Solomon Berg, Jamil Hyde, Jamil Muhammad, Ramilo Hyde. All those guys, to me, all those guys showed up, man, and showed out. Yes, I think the secondary, we still could try to get some, because I mean, it was a big hit for some bombs. I even see John Jackson catch a bomb. So it was a
Mhm.
couple of things, but overall, man, I think this was major step forward and improvement. So, like, exactly what did you see being on the field?
Well, definitely the glass, it's not the glasses half empty or the glasses half full. The glass is majority full, right? But we not pouring over just yet. We not spilling over just yet. But we're 3/4 of the way full with regards to how well equipped we are to run this campaign, this championship campaign.
Yeah,
And what I mean by that is yesterday, more than any time I can recall last season or the beginning of this season so far, it
yeah,
was made aware to me how young our team actually is. We're still very
yeah,
young. Like the entire roster is young. And
yeah,
I, I think the most experienced Trojan to me on that whole field is Taj Washington. And he shows it. He shows it with how well he executes in every phase of the game, from special teams to pass catching to run blocking to downfield blocking when his fellow teammates are carrying the ball, and how he sets up his blocks. You can just see Taj's experience.
yeah. Can we
One
just
of
give him his flowers though? Because I think arguably
guys,
he's been
guys,
the most consistent guy, man.
Taj has been the most consistent Trojan for the last 3 years, and it
Yeah,
isn't even close.
absolutely.
It is not even close. And every single week in and week out, he has a wow factor about his game. And I mean, the young man, he's well equipped for the next level. And I'm just excited for his future. I'm excited for him to get the accolades that he deserves this season. And I pray that the media starts to pay attention to his overall body of work throughout his career. Now, with that being said, our secondary is very young, even though we got some guys who have experience, but they're young in the sense of playing together, playing in this system. And I think over time, some of those things are going to get ironed out. just very, very simple concentration things that just is the difference between being completely shut down to like having some of those like 50-50 plays where when the ball is in the air, as a fan, you're holding your breath a little bit. Where I can recall a time when you see a deep ball and there is not a really big concern, like, oh, they're not catching that. You know, they're
Right.
not catching that. Now it's just like,
Yeah, yeah, we kind
oh,
of
okay,
we're holding our
okay,
breath.
right,
When,
right.
yeah,
So I know towards the end of the game, some of those plays were a little more comfortable for our guys, but it's good to get these reps in early throughout the season and get the kind of the heartburn out of the way of getting beat, recovering, getting your opportunity to continue to compete, and then finding your balance and your rhythm. So
yeah,
yeah, man, it's a lot. It's a lot still left for this defense to improve. I think the offense sputtered in a lot of places as well. This is me being critical in the sense that I can celebrate the overall team effort and say that they played extraordinary, they played exceptional. I think it was about as beautiful as a USC performance as there ever has been one in history. I can say that if you just look at the stats, the productivity, the number of players getting involved, how efficient we were on both sides of the ball in all three phases. There weren't that many errors that really jumped out as like, oh no, this is bad. They're all little things that it's like, okay, that's a little concentration thing. Oh, that's a little bit of out of position thing. Oh, that was a little bit of a bad angle. Okay, that's an effort play. Those are all fixable. And I didn't see any
absolutely.
holes. I didn't see any holes in the scheme that made me go, dang, why are we doing that? So all that feels great. You know, it feels great. But just me being critical of my younger brothers, which I hope they give me room to be, right? I know that they feel like they didn't play their best game. And so that's encouraging.
Absolutely. And Stump the Fumo, thank you very much. I seen your channel, man. You're doing your thing on there. Shout out to you, and I appreciate everything that you do as well. And yeah, Jaywalk is my man. He's my favorite as well. He's a regular. And to your
Thank you,
question,
brother.
how good was Shane Lee? Let me tell you, this is going to kind of lead me into to your point here. I wanted to. I'm gonna do it a little early now. I want to do a player of the game.
Let's go.
One of the players of the
Let's
game
go.
from a defensive perspective is I got two of them. I got Rajon, the way he stepped in there, lateral movement, side to side, assignment driven. He appeared to know his whereabouts. He knew where to be at the right time, and he looked fast. He looked fast when he was in there.
Yeah, he
And
did.
for that, I give him part of the player of the game. Number two player I'm gonna have is, to your point, Stump the Fumu. I'm giving Shane Lee the player, one of the players from a defensive perspective of the game. And here's the reason why. Not only did Shane Lee look like he improved, he looked like he got a little faster. He looked like he worked on his craft. And I'm excited about what he did yesterday, specifically because of when you look at, you got Tackett Curtis, you got Mason Cobb. These guys started. Shane didn't have a fit. He didn't pout. He stood up and continued to be the captain that he is, and he maintained confidence. He maintained his wherewithal. He maintained his integrity. He maintained his leadership, and for that, I want to say thank you, Shane, for doing that. You showed the ultimate leadership, and then you came in there, and you executed. And I sat there and I thought about this today as we got ready to come on. I said, Shane, I am absolutely proud of you, man. You could have been lost in Alfredo sauce, but you decided to maintain your character, man. What's your thoughts on that?
Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do to Big Shane. Salute,
Absolutely.
salute, younger bro. Here's the reason why I felt like today was a great day to continue to wear these glasses.
Yes.
The future is still so
Oh my God.
radiantly, extraordinarily bright,
Yes.
particularly because we have character guys like Shane. We have character guys like Mike Jackson III.
Man, we're gonna talk
We,
about him. We're
we
gonna
got
talk about him.
we got
Oh yeah.
character we got character guys who are saying, look, just call my number and I will bleed for the Cardinal and gold.
Yes.
However, whenever, wherever. Just tell me what I got to do to support this pilgrimage, to support this journey. And when you have that type of spirit as a collective in your team, that is that's the beginning DNA components of a championship caliber roster. When you have a bunch of guys who are like already they have the next man up. You not one time heard any grievances from Shane, whining, complaining, murmuring, pouting about where he was falling on the depth chart because his resolve is so strong. He has such high character. And he is very similar to so many guys. Like, there's so much to unpack from this game that I want to encourage everybody to really look into. Like, I want to compel you guys to recognize really the true fortitude of this team. How you have so many players who are willing to fight for one another and with one another to help push each other past whatever the barriers are that we still have to overcome to get where we believe we can go. They all fought together. And I think there was no drop off in productivity at any phase of the game, offense, defense, or special teams, when backup players came in. I don't think we have backups anymore. I just think we have rotational pieces and
that's what it is. Yes.
Situational players. So I very hesitantly use the term backup now. Right now, I just see plug and play guys that are all situational and rotational. So USC has about, we got 32 starters on offense, 32 starters on defense. It's just all situational. And I think that's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
And situational is the correct word. That's the actual word, because you seen Shane come in there from a situational standpoint. He came in there for a play, and then he came out, and you seen different guys coming in there. Now, when you're talking about the cornerback position, I seen the second half. You guys already know Christian Roland Wallace couldn't come in until the second half, but when he came in, it was a bright spot. Now, he got paired with Jacoby Covington, and that seemed to be kind of like I seen Jacoby Covington on there, on him and Caleb Bullock, man, when that sideline catch. Jacoby was already there, but Caleb just kind of came in and reinforced, and kind of came over the top and took the ball away, knocked it away. So I don't know, man. It's like, we got one. We don't have ones and twos. We got 1A, B, and C. They all ones, but it's just 1B, A, B, and C.
So it's justifiable that when we released our original depth chart, particularly on defense, how we had so many ors, where it was like Eric Gentry or Taggart Curtis. It was, I don't want to speak too much into it, but what I noticed was this competition is still going. There is still no one that has extremely differentiated themselves as so superior than the person behind them, where the coaches feel like we have to keep you on the field. And I think that gives coaches a lot of options and a lot of room to breathe into a game plan, because that every single one of your players has a unique skill set or an attribute that can be utilized in situation from situation. And it's just refreshing. It reminds me of what it felt like when I was there. It reminds me of what it felt like when we had Ray Maluga, Brian Cushing, Kaluka Mayava. I'm trying to think of all the great Clay Matthews, where we had all those linebackers who each could get the job done. And it didn't matter who was out there. They all could get the job done. Keith Rivers, we have that type of a depth again, and that makes me very excited.
So and I agree with everything you said. So who would you give I told you who I gave my game ball to.
Got you.
Who would you give your game ball to, man, from a defensive perspective? And I guess we kind of need to categorize them in certain ways. We got a game ball for who we felt like maybe stood out the most, and then a game ball for just.
I got you.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
So Shane controlled that defense. It was when he was out there, everybody was calm and composed. Yeah. Everyone knew where to go. He got everyone aligned, and he played a downhill game. And the man didn't miss any tackles. He was a bully in there. He went ape mode. Like he looked like he looked like a beast in there. Like you just saw how the play.
He looked good, man. I gotta give it to him. He looked good.
I loved it.
Yeah.
The play after, unfortunately, our young freshman phenom Taggart got ejected, which questionably justifiable. You never know. I mean, it's just kind of one of those rules that I think needs a little more gray area. You got to look at so many factors before you kick a guy out. You could give him a hard penalty, and you can maybe, like to eject the kid. It's just crazy. But that's a dumb rule. I mean, it is a dumb rule because everybody's hitting with their heads every single play. It's just whichever one you want to call out, basically. The old linemen, the running backs always drop their head. It doesn't matter. But anyway, the play after Taggart came out and Shane came in, he got a sack right then and there. It shows you the level of preparation, the level that there's no drop off. You can't say that Taggart is a necessarily superior option than Shane. It's just situational. And in that particular situation, Shane was the perfect player on our roster to get that job done because he executed it with perfection. And that was a big, big, big momentum shift. And our defense started to really, really get kind of settled into that game. That sack was a big, big moment that put all of our defense in. And you could just feel the nerves in the whole stadium come down. After the excitement, you saw the anxiety for the defense just drop. And I noticed in my environment, all the people around me, we were a little bit tense because, it looked like Nevada was starting to move the ball again. And you could just tell everybody was kind of like, what is this defense going to do? And after that, did we get the personal foul? Dang, they get a first down. Dang, everybody's anxious. And then, boom, sack. And then, boom, boom, 3 plays later, we get them off the field. And it's like, okay. And Shane was a big, he was a spark plug that ignited that momentum shift. You need that type of energy in the field. You need that type of guy. So I'm going to give Shane my most impactful player on the defense award. I got to give it to him. But my defensive MVP was actually Bear. Because Bear
spent, hear it on TV with Yogi Roth was saying about Bear, man.
He spent 90% of the game on the opposite line of the scrimmage, man.
That dude is pushing guys back. Like
he needed a double team and a running back to chip him every play. It was pure devastation. It doesn't show up on the stat line, but all of his quarterback pressures and hurries and how he created a new line of scrimmage, that's what imploded their running game and brought everything in and allowed our edges like Braylon to finally get home. It allowed Jamil to get home. It allowed all our guys to actually get into their fits and do the stuff that we ended up doing in that game. So Bear gets my defensive MVP, and Shane gets my most impactful defensive player.
My mind, and we're going to continue on this game, but my mind, when we're talking about the line, it automatically goes to teams like, and both teams look good, Washington and Oregon. Yeah. Because if you get that type of pressure that we got, those two quarterbacks right there will make mistakes. I don't want to move too far into that game, but that type of pressure will cause anybody to make mistakes because when you have to go on the run, you have to go into think mode. You have to think when you start moving around and you start having to process. And when you have to process, you process wrong, then you make mistakes. And I think that's what makes Caleb what he is. He's able to process in the middle of moving around. And I think looking at this defensive line, you guys are hearing it here first. Our defensive line, they're going to disrupt some guys and cause these guys to process on the run. And I think as a result, USC is going to be straight up go time, provided that the cornerbacks can hold up their own. Your thoughts on that?
Our cornerbacks are going to continue to settle in. You need a lot of reps at seeing that ball coming out in the air with a different type of rotation than what you're accustomed to in practice. I mean, some quarterbacks are left-handed and the ball spins differently. Some running backs release out of the backfield differently. Like, some receivers have different cadence and patterns when they run their routes. So as you see more and more and more reps and styles of players, you do tend to settle in as the season goes on. I saw Sierra Wright play a lot more calm. We weren't getting beat on crossers, right? We eliminated that out of this game plan. They weren't beating us with just running across the field. And the week before, that was our biggest struggle. This time we got attacked vertical. Our guys were in position for, I say, 85% of those deep balls. They were in position to make plays. The rest of it is tracking the ball.
The technique, looking back for the ball.
Small things that are very coachable. Hand-eye placement. being competitive. You saw us not grabbing guys as much, so you can see the tangible progress. All right, and you can see where the lessons from last week carried over into this week, and we got better. All I care about is a very systematic, very structured, and very noticeable increase in productivity. It doesn't, I don't, if I see a giant jump, it makes me a little nervous. If I see a giant jump in productivity in one, I'm like, okay, that could be a little bit fluky. I would much rather see what we did this weekend, where it's like incremental. Our rush ends didn't fly up the field and create big lanes for the quarterback to scramble. Our spies didn't take their eyes off the quarterback and let him trickle up the middle and get extra 14, 15 yards scrambling. Our cornerbacks weren't getting held up on stock blocks, and they weren't getting held up by receivers at the line of scrimmage in the run game. So I was seeing the small wins that made me feel very comfortable. Our slants and our stunts, where guys weren't just losing their footing and falling in the middle of the stunt action like last weekend. There was so much more where we were in position, more position and eye and hand technique. We weren't just committing our shoulder pad. Here's what I love the most. And forgive me if I'm rambling, but now I'm starting to figure out why I started to get excited in the crowd, right? As I'm watching, I stopped seeing guys commit their shoulder pads into the linemen and try to take on stuff with their body and letting the lineman hug them up and then create alleys for the running back to creep through. And I start to see guys fight with their hands and create distance and read. And then when the linemen try to push them, they could dish rag them or shed them or be violent with their hands and their punch versus throwing their shoulders and engulfing their body into the big old lineman. I saw our defensive linemen framing guys out. If you guys understand what I'm saying, they're using their steel rod to keep separation from the lineman, so the lineman can't hug them and create like holes in the run game. We actually kept very sound one gap defense where guys play very fundamentally sound technique. And I don't know if that's the byproduct of the opponents or the fact that we play better or some combination of both. But as a coach and as a player, that's what I want to see from my defense.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to see from my D linemen. I want to see more composed gap responsibility. And kudos to you, Alex Grinch. Kudos to you.
Let's move to that. Because we gotta deal with that. Absolutely. Hey, Keith, shout out to Keith. Thank you very much, Keith. Thank you for the $4.99. Definitely appreciate it. Hey, so Jay, to your point, we can continue on Alex Grinch because we seen yesterday where this scheme is going. A lot of people, they after the first game, they just went crazy. Alex Grinch, the scheme, it's the scheme. But when you look at the athletes we got, specifically guys like, of course, Bear Alexander, but Braylon Shelby. Athletic rush in that's able to attack the edge. And you've seen the way the scheme works. It fits in. If the 3-3-5 is played well, and executed well, it could be very disruptive. Now, I did see those guys shift on the line as well. So it appears that they're picking it up and it looked fluid with the shift. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on that with the 3-3-5 and what Alex Grinch did yesterday with this defense and the adjustments that was made?
Hey, here's a big sound bite. Corey Foreman's going to be a nightmare.
Hey, he did something yesterday too.
Hey, listen, you guys don't even know how much Corey Foreman produced yesterday because it doesn't show up on stats. It doesn't show up how fast his get off was now that his hand was in the dirt. I seen him do like one line stunt where his body was at an angle where he was kind of perpendicular with the line of scrimmage and like he acted like he was about to flash out. And I mean, he timed that snap count up so much where literally when the ball was snapped, he was in the backfield and it forced the whole play to go to the other side where our crashing in came in and our our nose and everybody got up the field and really just created a lot of disruption. I said that's the 5-star. That now you can see where it takes a lot of the like mind game out of it and it puts guys in situational circumstances that they feel very confident in. I believe just like so many of the best rushers in the history of the NFL, a lot of these guys weren't 4-down defensive linemen, man. They were special rushers, special players that got in situations that fit their skill set and that gave it a nightmare and anxiety on the tackles and the guards and the offensive linemen because they know that when this guy comes in, there's doing some games with them. There's something special and it makes me think different. That's like putting like a wildcat running back / quarterback in on our offense. Like, okay, this guy could run it or throw it or do something else or whatever. So our antennas are up. So when you got a guy like Corey Foreman in there now, like Braylon Shelby and then Jamil Muhammad, and they got these special techniques that are specific to them, it forces the lineman to feel a little bit anxiety because there's games that our D-line can play. So I can start to see it unfolding. It's starting to look, I'm saying, okay, this is going to really become a strong technique for us. We just got to keep getting reps at it in real games. So I'm excited. And I don't want to hear nothing about negative about Alex Grinch. Nothing. You don't got to say nothing nice, but you ain't got to say nothing mean. Because the fact of the matter is you can see the traceable, tangible, very reputable growth from last week to now. It's clear.
Absolutely. Shout out to, and I totally agree. Shout out to my son. I got a 24-year-old son. This is him. Don't even ask me how he's an LSU fan, but he just made it to Orlando. He's at the game. They play tonight, Florida State, and he's lost in the sauce for loving LSU. And I'm telling you that.
What's up, little nephew?
He's
hey,
mad
I
at
don't know
me.
about that LSU
He's lost in the sauce for being an LSU fan, but I love you anyway.
I don't know about the LSU stuff.
I try to raise him right. Last week we see teams like USC and Colorado spoken out often. Your team wins big or doesn't reach that or perceived after one game. People saying the Buffs in the playoffs. Man, here's the thing. Like if we gave up that many points, man, they would absolutely just crush us. But here's the thing. I'm not gonna take anything from Colorado because you don't just go to TCU and just win that game like that. I think they have skill. I think they have players. And shout out to them. I don't take anything from them at all. Nope. Your thoughts on them at all, Jay Walk?
TCU or Colorado?
Colorado.
Yeah, they looked incredible for the matchup that they had, for the stage that they had, for that team coming together. Most certainly, it reminded me of our team from last season. They looked like, they reminded me of how we looked putting all those guys together, coming out of the transfer portal, and just like that melting pot of all those different talents being molded into one. It looked like Coach Prime has really helped cultivate a very strong competitive belief system over there. And I'm excited to see what those guys are going to do and reshape the fabric of that organization. It's great for college football to have competitive depth like that and to have competitive matchups all across the country. Particularly with the Pac-12, right now I will go on record and say the Pac-12 is the strongest conference in the country.
From top to bottom.
And it's not.
You look at Georgia, Alabama, all those teams yesterday.
No. We are the only conference that's undefeated so far in the nation.
12-0, right? Is it 12-0? I think it's 12.
No, because Oregon State hasn't played yet, right?
No, they're playing right now. San Jose State. I'm actually
right.
right now.
I don't think we could be 12-0 until one of them. Yeah.
We play because USC played last week.
Oh, that's correct. 12-0.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think they kind of included that. I thought I seen somebody that posted.
That's right. Because we have week 0 game. That's right.
Yeah. I'm happy. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that.
Hey guys, those super chats mean so much. That is so. Look, guys, that's so kind. It's so kind when you guys like drop that resource in. I don't want it to be swept under the rug, and I don't want it to sound like a handout, but you guys don't even know how much it helps to get the support and the resources. And we have a lot of colleagues in this industry that we support. And, when I leave, my little super chats to people that I really believe in, when I catch their shows live, etc. Sometimes I don't get to catch them live, but when I do and I'm on, I like to drop a little something in there to show my gratitude. Like, that's a real thing, man. And for two brothers who, look, man, neither USCJ and I have media credentials or background like some of the experts out there, but we come from a place of passion, and we would like to continue to grow this platform. We would like to give you more content, and it does help when you drop those little nuggets, because we have wives and families who are like, y'all put a lot of time in that. What's the return? And we say, well, the return is we get to talk and speak about something that we're passionate about and give the people our insights. And it is a blessing that we get unique insights from players and families. And there's a lot that we have access to that some media people don't. And not to discredit anything, because I love all of the folks in the media, but when you guys support like that, it is truly a testament that we should keep going, and we're on the right track to doing something great. So really, really, guys,
Absolutely.
just
Shout out to
sincerely,
you
man,
digital
we
assets.
appreciate that. We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. You know, it all goes a long way, and for what our dreams of for this channel and this platform, it is going to take resources, and so we're hoping that, you know, we can continue to grow this community. That's much love to you guys, sincerely, sincerely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, I need more sun. These are Oakleys, baby. These are Oakleys, man. These are Oakleys. I do everything with these things on their prescription too, by the way.
Hey,
I'll be lost in the sauce, but I have them. So,
well,
Jay, before we finish up on the defense, talking about
yeah,
the
yeah.
defense, because we touched on it, the conversation that you and I had, talking about Tackett Curtis, man. You wanted to talk about that
Yeah,
real quick?
so guys, you know, we our young our young pup got his first, you know, he got put in the kennel, you know, he got in trouble, you know, he bit a little too hard, you know, and so the NCAA had to put him on timeout, and that was terrible. Maybe justifiable, I don't know, that's questionable, but it was a high effort play, a high energy play that I'll say, young man, keep that energy. Keep that energy. We love it. Just let's control it, right? And let's target, let's be accurate with where we put our strike zone. But with that being said, at the end of the game, there's a friends and family section post game right outside of the tunnel, and I got the honor to meet Taggart Curtis's family. And they were out there and they were celebrating the win, but you could see that there was just a little bit of a pit and a disappointment because they didn't get to see their son, their brother, their nephew get to play that much, right? In his second career start in his college football history. So I walk up to Mr. Curtis and I introduce myself, and I think he recognizes me from this channel, and he's like, "Oh yeah, USCJ." And I said, "You know, we love you, we love your son and your family, and we're so grateful that you guys felt like USC was the place for him." And I asked him, "Do you believe that your son would accept the responsibility and champion the opportunity to wear the 55 if it were presented to him?" And he said, "The 55, huh?" He says, "Well, I mean, if they think that he's worthy of it, then I'm pretty confident that, yeah, because we understand the history and the honor behind that number." And I said, "Absolutely." And I said, "So would that make you proud though? Would you that your son is the guy out of all the players in the country and on the roster that he's the one that the team would unanimously decide could wear the 55? That's a legacy number." And he said yes, but I would much prefer to just see him on the field. He said, "I flew all the way from Louisiana to see the boy play 5 minutes." And
Yeah, yeah.
he said, "So that's a little bit of a disappointment. We understand the rules." He said, "But as his father, I would tell him this. I wouldn't change a thing, son. Don't change anything about your effort or your intensity. Let's just clean up the technique." And I looked him in his eye and I said, "That's exactly right, sir. And let's let Taggart know as a body, we adore him. We believe that his future is as bright as you know, the stars in the sky, man. And we're grateful for the support of that family. But Mr. Curtis wanted me to send my love or his love to you on his behalf. So from Mr. Curtis to you, USCJ, he says he appreciates you."
Absolutely, man. He know I got big love for him, man. We've had
Absolutely.
conversations, man. I got big love for Tackett Curtis' dad, man. Shout out to him. He's trained Tackett Curtis, raised him very, very well. You can tell he's very mannerable, respectable, and very humble, though. You know, he's
Oh
truly
yeah,
a humble kid, man.
he is. He
So shout
definitely is.
out to that whole family, man. Those Raging Cages, man. They got some of the best food out there that I've ever had in my life out there, man. I mean, USC, Louisiana got some stuff, man. So we talked about the defense. So I gotta talk about the freshmen, man. The freshmen, we want to get on the offense, but how many freshmen did you see out there? I mean, I've seen a lot of dynamic
Yep.
freshmen, and this goes back. This goes back to this being the most underrated class. I don't know. This may be the most underrated class I've ever seen. When you talk about caliber of players, man, you don't just have a guy like Braylon Shelby on the field, Tackett Curtis on the field, Deuce Robinson on the field, Makai Lemon on the field.
Yep.
You see all these guys just floating across, and then Zach Branch, Lord forgive me, he scored the first touchdown. You don't have caliber players like this. How does USC class go so underrated? And now we start to see these guys flourish. These guys are making a name for themselves
Yes, they are.
already at a young age, man. What is your thoughts on these freshmen?
These freshmen are remarkable, man. And to be quite honest, I don't see any reason to redshirt any of them with how I feel,
yeah.
with how I feel right now, and on the pace that we have in the recruiting game, I don't know that any of the freshmen that we've seen executing.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's actually a reason
It's crazy, man. I
to,
forgot
to,
about Elijah Page and
to hold
Elijah Hughes. Forgive me for not missing those two.
those two. Look, those two. You can tell that we're going to need them, and God, please don't let Gino be seriously or
Yeah,
severely
I'm
hurt.
not sure the status on him right now at
Our,
all.
our prayers for him, and because gosh, you Lord knows he's worked so hard to be in that starting lineup and to be contributing as much as he is, and it was just terrible to see him go down. But we do feel like we have the pieces to plug in the case that we need to shift some things on the line of scrimmage on either side of the ball. And all of the freshmen, you can tell that they're operating with a confidence that is very unlike traditional freshmen in this type of competitive space. It was so crazy to see how fluid Braylon Shelby looked and how just it locked in he was, and like you just if you could see him before the strip sack fumble or interception fumble, whatever that was, he created, and Stanley got it and scored, which was to me probably the play of the game for sure.
Yeah.
In the huddle before that, he had this bop. He just was like,
he has that impactor, man. He has that bounce
you just
about him.
You just knew, like, man.
I love it, man.
There's like a little Julius Peppers in there. There's something really awesome about the energy that young man brings. And man, we still haven't even got to see Sam Green that much, and he's a baller. So
he got in there at the end.
So we just got a lot of guys who are well positioned to be contributing factors all season long. As we exit this conference and enter into the next one, we're going to have a wealth of productivity and experience going into the future of our program.
Absolutely. Hey, Sanders, thank you very much. And you said love the channel. Hey, thank you very much. USCJ visit the message boards because they're saying that Oregon has reached out. Yeah. Alrighty. Yep. I heard some of that stuff, man. But look, we just gotta see what happens, man. You know what I mean? We gotta see what happens. And as I stated yesterday, I hope Relief stays. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna say it again. Relief has to do what's best for him. But I love Relief. I love him as a player. Love him as a person. Jay, any of your thoughts on that? Because there's been, many rumors coming out, but I'm not reporting those until I know something.
Yeah, a lot of rumors, but here's what I'll say. Whatever decisions led any athlete to come to USC, we love them, we respect them, and we honor them for it. And any decisions that leads a young man to feel like USC may not be the place for them, we also must equally respect and honor their choices, because you only have a small window to make a sizable impact to set up yourself for the future. You guys cannot come from a place of judgment when it comes to somebody else mapping out their future. Like, guys, please just know that a decision like that, it doesn't come easy, man. And if you feel like God is leading you, or your heart is going someplace else, or you don't know what the coaches are telling any player. You don't know what the coaches are encouraging other players. I know that I will be devastated and sad to see any of our players leave, especially a guy as talented, as remarkable, and as upbeat and spirited as Raleek. I think Raleek, he resembles everything that it is to be a Trojan, in my opinion. But if that young man feels like in his heart that he has to go somewhere else to get the opportunity to fulfill his dreams, I have to say I support you, man. I support you and I wish you well because I love you. And that love came unconditionally. If you only love players based on what they can do for you and the conditions that they supply and provide your satisfaction and happiness, you got to check your spirit and your heart to figure out what type of person, what type of human you are. And I'm not judging anyone. What I'm saying is it's a lot easier to text than it is to walk in those shoes, man, and to put those cleats on. And you don't know what's happening on the inside, neither do I. But what I'll say is I hope we keep our players, every single one of them, but also I support guys if they feel like this is not the place where they're going to maximize their opportunity to set up their families. All right?
Absolutely. And that's kind of where I'm at with it, man. It's I kind of feel the same way. Now, as far as we move on to some of this production yesterday, it was a 66-14 win, USC. As far as the production yesterday, USC has 668 yards total offense.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
Nevada had 360 passing yards. USC had 453 rushing yards. USC had 215, and then yards per play. USC had 12.4. Nevada had 311 passing yards, 49 rushing yards, 5.0 yards per play. Those numbers, are you satisfied and pretty happy with those numbers? And do you see there room for improvement?
Defensively, I'm unsatisfied with those numbers. Yeah. Yeah,
passing, right? Passing.
The passing. Yeah, defensively, I don't think we need to give up more than 200 to 250 yards passing to a team that doesn't have a very strong passing attack. It's like having it's like having collard greens without the smoked turkey necks in there, man. It's like it still tastes good, but I need them turkey necks in there, man. I need that smoked turkey neck. I need the rest of it. So it feels like we just left a little bit of meat on the bone there. But again, as I was judging and fussing them out from the stands, I could also see how hard the coaches were coaching them on the sideline when they came off. See, that's what most of you guys can't see if you're not at the game and if you're not looking for body language coming off the field. I am looking for all of the things that show me championship pedigree. And when you see a guy get beat or give up, you could see Damani's resolve change, and you could see him not pout. You could see him take responsibility when he got beat early and say, okay, that's a correctable technique. I can move forward from here. I can learn from here and make sure that doesn't happen consistently or again this game. That's all I could ask for, and he can take accountability. You saw the same. Unfortunately, I'm going to call these guys out because I love them, and I needed someone to do it to me. Anthony Beavers just took a bad angle when he was covering that back out of the backfield late in the game where they got their second score. That doesn't mean Anthony Beavers is a terrible defensive back. He's one of our better defensive backs.
Yeah, he is. He's a hitter. He's a hitter.
He needs that experience. That was awesome for him. I got beat on a very similar wheel route. My first time playing against Arizona, they had a little receiver they lined up in the backfield and bubbled him out, and he did a little change of speed on me. And man, I said, oh gosh, I wasn't ready. And once you see that and you put it on film, it's good because you invite it to happen again. When I put anything bad on film, or bad by my perception, or if I got a low grade, I was excited to play the next game because I hope that the opponents figured that was my weakness. I hope that they felt like that was something that they could get at all times. And I hope that they would challenge me again to give me an opportunity to redeem myself and make that play. So all of the things that happened that are perceived negatively from the week before, they showed up in this game, and our guys ultimately corrected it. Last week, we didn't give up too many really deep balls, but we gave a lot of short and underneath.
Yeah, it seemed like we were better last year, especially with Mekhi Blackman. It seemed like he was contesting some stuff all in guys' faces.
Oh, yeah. But that's game reps. Game reps. He's gonna be that. He was that guy for us, and personally right now, Christian Roland Wallace is that guy for us now.
Man, he needs to be started. I said this. He was actually in my starting rotation in the beginning, and I think he will be from here, probably most likely from here on out. It's no disrespect to anybody. I just love him. He's a 4-year starter.
Yeah, it was unfair that he wasn't in the first half of that game anyway. It was unfair.
That's a whole other story. You seen Lincoln get up in the press conference, right?
Yeah, that was a whole other. He should have never missed the first half.
Right.
Anyway, that's the NCAA being who they are, man. Just NCAA hate. They just, man, it's not a. That organization has. Lord said, "Don't say nothing nice. Don't say nothing at all." So I ain't gonna say nothing at all. But here's what I will say: the secondary is a lot better than they played, and that's encouraging because now I'm starting to see them gauge the ball in the air better. I want teams to keep throwing it deep on us. I want teams to keep challenging our athletes because the more they see it, the more it becomes regular. When something is regular, your body can go on like autopilot and auto response. And when you can go on autopilot about certain things, it becomes natural. And you start getting those interception, jump ball, contested picks. They keep playing with Kalen Bullock. Keep playing with him.
He almost had one yesterday.
So and Damani almost had another one. When he took that screen. Keep playing with these dudes, and I'm excited. That doesn't mean we're not going to give up some. These are highly talented athletes we're competing against as well. But keep challenging our young secondary guys and give them those reps that help us be formidable at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Damani, he did recover. You know, he had a little moment in the beginning of the game, but I seen him fight off one block, man, where he just kind of fought the guy off and then made a crucial tackle, man. Executed that thing very well. Now, one of the other bright spots, I mean, because there's so many storylines within. We had a game within a game, man. Whether it's the freshman Deuce Robinson. I mean, we'll talk about him for a second. I mean, his acceleration. I didn't know. I knew he was fast. I knew he was a receiver in a tight end's body, but I had no idea Deuce Robinson had breakaway speed like that. Did you?
I did because earlier in the camp he recorded 21. I believe it was 21.
Yeah, he did. Matter of fact, I did a video about it. But you know, I always look at those numbers, and sometimes I'm not sure how they calculate that, if it's like a short distance. But I've seen this guy pulling away.
Your top speed. It's your top speed.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been clocked at 22 miles an hour for up to like 2.5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So it's just they get your maximum speed, your maximum acceleration, and then after that, you know, then it kind of tapers off. But it's what your maximum speed is, right?
Yeah.
And so you can tell that once he actually got to open up his stride, you can see how fast. Let me tell you guys how to translate speed. This is how you can translate speed when it comes to watching film and give it the eye test. This is coming from a speed coach. If you see an athlete with the gridiron, with the stripes, the 5-yard stripes, if you see him moving 2 to 2.5 steps per 5 yards, he's flying. And Deuce was pretty much taking 2 steps per 5 yards. Man. That's rolling.
The dude was pulling away from a guy, man, and I'm just like, dang. I had to sit back and think about it like, this guy's really this big, this fat, 6'6", 230 pounds, and you running like this?
And keep in mind,
Hernandez didn't run that fast.
That's as an 18-year-old with a freshman body. That's not with speed training, the squat program, the sleds, and everything that you build your hamstrings, your glutes, your groin, your quads. You build all that stuff up as you continue to progress in high school. From high school into college. And so he hasn't even had a full speed program under the strength and conditioning staff. So that upside is even greater.
Man, and so we got him. We had him making great progress. Then we had Jacoby Lane. And then I see Makai Lemon. He looked like he had a nice little – man, that dude looks like Amon St. Brown to me.
I told everyone.
He looks like Amon St. Brown.
He plays like him. He has
confidence. That's what I like. He's not intimidated by the other guys around him. This guy has an it factor as well. It's something special about that Lemon that I've seen when he got the ball, man. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah, man. That lemon is sweet.
Yeah.
He got it. Hey, he's got it, man. He's got the juice. He's got the juice.
And I think one of the biggest stories, another story that I'm taking from this is Mike Jack. I'm so happy. He came in there, man, and he really, he just did his thing. Mike Jack I say he's consistent right there with Taj. Every time he's asked to do something, every time he goes out there, he executes the play, man, and he runs the route to a T. And he's big, strong, physical, man. What's your thoughts on Mike Jack coming back after injury, man? He didn't get lost in the sauce.
I said it last week, just like his, very famous namesake, the King of Pop. Mike Jack's, he always pops on film, man. You always see how special he is. Yeah. He's open. That's his name. He's always open. He is always open.
But it's something he's doing. He's doing to get open, though, right?
His angles. It's how his sudden change of speed is so crazy. He has such a sudden burst that is so deceptive on film. He paces out of his route, and then he accelerates, aggressive and violent, and he runs
hard.
He runs through contact. Like,
yeah,
he's got such a strong game. Like he has a Steve Smith from the Carolina Panthers type game.
Yeah, he has that. He kind of has that attitude too. I think Makai Lemon has that too. It's something about them two. Those two kind of seem similar in play and attitude wise. when you talk about physical receivers, man. They just have a different, and they're not the biggest in stature, but like a Deuce Robinson, but they play like they have a physical big size, man. It's
Right.
just it's unbelievable, man.
It is.
So you know, overall, man, I think this is it's a big win. You know, we got a big game coming up this week, which is Stanford. I watched them play a little bit against Hawaii. I thought they were going to be lost in the sauce for a minute, but they came back, man, and looked like they dominated. Did you see any Stanford at all?
No, I didn't get to watch it.
Yeah. So they got a new coach or whatever, but I think he came from Sacramento State, and I think he looked like he has them in the right place, man. I mean, lined up right. So whenever they line up right, it looks like this guy's coaching them right. So I don't think we can't take no team for granted.
No.
We could put this win in the back, put it in the back seat, and Nevada and San Jose State, and really start looking forward to getting into conference play because it's about from here on out. I think it's about to be straight up go time, man. Either we're gonna be with the business or we're not. You know what I mean? So what's your thought?
Yeah, man. Honestly, if we with this team, I honestly believe that we can keep all of our opponents under 35 points, no matter how. I believe that we can, and I don't think that any team can keep us under 45 points.
Hey, so because we seen this yesterday, everybody want to jump on the Colorado bandwagon after yesterday,
Which is justifiable.
It's justifiable. But here's what I say too, because a lot of people say, Jay, Travis Hunter's gonna guard. I said, look, Travis Hunter can only guard one person. You got multiple guys out there, and I'm gonna tell you right now, they got to line up against us as well, just like we got to line up against them, and they got to stop us just like we got to stop them. So I think everybody needs to calm down, relax. USC, the way Caleb Williams, we didn't even get on him today at all. But the way he executed yesterday, he was surgical last night. I mean, just pop, 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 pop. I mean, just dropping dimes everywhere. And then, of course, Miller Moss came in and started dropping dimes everywhere as well. So what's your thoughts on that? Everybody has to stop us.
That's the thing. I'm still not forgetting that our offense is so elite.
Right.
I'm not forgetting that our offense, we scored, I think there was 6 drives or 5 to 6 drives in that game where we scored in 4 plays. That's a staggering statistic.
And you just look at the minutes we had it, man, compared to them.
Yeah, I don't care how the game unfolds or how talented your team is to score, let's say at least 4 drives in that game to go 4 touchdowns in 4 plays in at least 4 drives. That's a staggering statistic at this level of competition. It doesn't matter if you're playing a high school football team. That's still hard to do, because you got to move the ball almost 80 yards per time. So let's think about how many yards per possession we're getting, right? I'm excited to see the rest of what we got. I love Marshawn Lloyd being the balance that he was all game long. I love how he was able to just champion the tempo of the run game. I loved how physical our offensive line was. I absolutely loved how wide open our receivers could get. And you're only seeing the guys who are catching the balls. You're not seeing how three guys are open on every play, and Caleb is just picking his poison.
Absolutely, he's picking it, and he was executing to a T, man.
And that's sad. It's sad that Caleb. Sorry to cut you off before I.
No, you good.
I'm just thinking how hard it is for Caleb. Like, you can't even say how great he is because you expect him to be so great. But let's think about this. This guy has accounted for how many touchdowns in 2 games? 9.
How many did you say?
9, right? 9.
Yeah, somewhere around that. Yeah.
He
has almost 600 yards right now already on the season.
In 2 games, guys, and the efficiency is well over 82%. And nobody and people are talking about him for the Heisman for sure, but Caleb, biggest competition for the Heisman is Caleb from last year. And that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's no doubt. It's no doubt about that. And here's something I want everybody to think about. Especially when we're talking about Colorado, you guys got to realize Colorado's quarterback Shedeur Sanders had to stay in there the whole game. I mean, he had to in order for them. It was a fight. It was a back and forth all the way until the end. The last man had the ball. Caleb did not have to stay in the game. Miller Moss came in the game. Miller Moss did his thing. God forbid anything ever happens to that quarterback at Colorado because they would completely be, he executed to a T, but they would be completely lost in the sauce. And, he threw, man, for some crazy number, like 500. I want to say 60 passes.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like 50 for 6, something ridiculous. I mean, it was crazy. You don't want your quarterback throwing that much. I mean, we got enough weapons to where we can utilize some running and be more of a balanced attack. Man, if Caleb is throwing the ball 60 times a game, something is wrong with that pitcher. Your thoughts, Jay?
I do not disagree.
Yeah.
I do not disagree.
And so if you look at the amount of times we had the ball for 24 minutes and 2 seconds time of possession, and then Nevada had it for 35 minutes, 58 seconds. So they had the ball for essentially 11 minutes longer than what we had it. So you got to say, look, man, to your point, Caleb was getting in there just boom, 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 boom. I mean, getting his guys. I mean, he was hitting guys in stride. He was hitting them everywhere. He was in and out, out and in. And as a result, USC was able to put up 66 points, man. And I can't remember what your score prediction. Mine was 61 to 21. 61 to 21, I believe. What was your score prediction?
I said 63 to between 14 to 17.
So you were close.
I said 63 to 14 to 17. Yeah, because Nevada's average was slightly under 18 points. I didn't
right.
I didn't think we would give them their average.
Right.
I did believe that we would reach the 60s and get that additional turnover. I did call 4 sacks. I did call fumble, scoop and score.
Yeah.
But I also called at least 1 to 2 interceptions, which didn't happen. So
yeah.
But our D line did it because we had 4 sacks this week.
Yeah. Jamil Muhammad got it. Jamil Muhammad did his thing. Yep. Braden Shelby caused to have it. So overall, man, when we look at this thing, I am very I'm excited because there's much room for improvement, and these guys are going to continue to grow into everything that they're doing. I believe this was a big step forward as it relates to Grinch's system and understanding the spots where to be. And I think USC is on their way, and we can continue to take a step forward. I told you guys that these first 6 games will be a time for us to figure some things out. Now with the emergence of Colorado, we got a small little dent in that plan, and that we don't have to get ready before that because hey, like Dion said, they coming.
They are coming.
They coming. And we got to give respect.
I can't worry about Colorado until we chop down the trees because that
absolutely.
Stanford is always a competitive game, no matter what the period. I think the year we won the national championship in 2004, that game was like very close. It must have been like 24 to 29 or something like, and they took us to the wire. And I can remember how stressed that whole game felt to me being that young, us not thinking that they were going to be as competitive as they were, at least in my head. And that, dude, they showed up. So, man, I'm not overlooking nobody. I'm not looking past any team. We'll look through them to get to the next team, but we definitely can't underestimate one opponent in the Pac-12, not one.
Absolutely. So look, that is going to get ready and wrap it up. If you guys got any questions, we've been 58 minutes and try to keep it to an hour. We don't want you guys to be lost in the sauce. We know that there's some other games getting ready to come on. Want you guys to enjoy your chips, sauce, or whatever. Chipotle. I just had me some Chipotle. I'm a Chipotle man. I go crazy on that. And I put my chips to the side. I said, let me come do this. But Jay, any final thoughts, man, before we get out of here?
Yeah, my final thoughts are, hey guys, continue to stick with us. Thank you so much for the support. This is definitely a labor of love. It's something we're very passionate about. Your feedback and your commentary is very well received. Like USCJ got thick skin, I got thick skin. We want to produce a wholesome, healthy environment that's warm and inviting for all of the people that support what USC football is, and even for the ones who don't. Just let's maintain a peaceful and respectful dialogue as we move forward. But let's also challenge ourselves to have a high awareness of excellence in how we communicate and how we move forward. This is not an easy thing. It takes discipline. It takes discipline not to resort to negativity or to divisive conversation. But I'm telling you, I've been a part of all of the things that work and all the things that do not work. And it is true 1,000 out of 1,000 that when you want to win, there's a collective energy about that process that's definitely needed, and that we need to loan that positivity and that supportive framework, and we need to loan it to the players so that they can borrow our supportive mindset and take it into their work. You don't think these athletes read your comments, you're sadly mistaken. And for those of you who like to continue to speak like kind of divisive things, you're doing it on purpose. You know what you're doing. You're trying to create contention and divisiveness within the culture. Look, we don't want no culture vultures here. We don't want nobody hovering over looking for like the bad and dead parts of what we're trying to build and picking at it. Let's get them guys out of here, and let's us stay positive, stay uplifting. Let's be the side of the media that allows for everybody to have a very open, peaceful, and real conversation. I'm sure we're going to have some tough ones throughout the season because, not everything's going to be rainbows, lollipops, and pot of gold. It's going to be tough. We will have some tough moments in this season, but it's our collective strength that makes us a family. It's the things that we believe in and support together. All right. With that being said, I'm challenging you all. Let's get USCJ's channel. Let's get this man up to 10,000 subs. Let's show YouTube what type of real supportive community this can be, and not pretend. Like, let's do it for real, guys. Because I'm with you. This is a man that is dedicating a very significant amount of his life to bring you this content, to give you guys a space that we all can share and love and support and believe in. Like Blackie Chan, we got great colleagues that we can all grow together and loan each other our collective support. All right? This is real.
Absolutely.
This is for real. Let's do it different and better. Like Coach Carroll used to say, let's do it bigger, better, and like it ain't never been done before. Let's do it. Let's do it, guys. I love you all. Let's do it together.
Absolutely. So, man, with that, and Blackie Chan, to your point, Lee Corso's comments, I just want to say this before I close out. Lee Corso did say Caleb would win the Heisman. Last year, he said that Caleb would win the Heisman, and he said we would go to the playoffs. He was right about half of that, and we almost made it to the playoffs. So, look, I don't think Lee Corso is like, I know some say he's getting old, but I think he knows what he's talking about. So, to your point, he's alluding to the fact that Lee Corso said that USC, I think he had USC
versus Michigan,
Georgia, I think
Georgia versus Texas.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Georgia beats Texas. USC beats Michigan.
Yeah.
And USC versus Georgia in the national championship.
Yeah, he had USC over Georgia.
USC beats Georgia.
Yeah. So that's what's up, man. So look, I think he's right. And so look, until later on, Jay, we appreciate you once again. I will tap in and continue to give you guys information throughout the week. And of course, Jay Walker will be back. I don't know. We'll get together this week for a preview. And
Stanford preview.
Stanford preview. And so until later on, listen, everybody, I think Thursday at work, if you could do it, Jay.
We make it work.
Yeah. Tomorrow is
Labor Day.
Labor Day. I hope you don't be lost in the barbecue sauce, but the hickory barbecue sauce. But I am. I'm gonna be lost all in it. But until later on, listen, everybody stay blessed, man. We will fight on.
Fight on, guys.